Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Mishnapad, Paramhamsa Parivrajacharya, Tarashata Shrishimad, His Divine Grace, Abhay Shanarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jaya. Jaya Mishnapad, Paramhamsa Parivrajacharya, Tarashata Shrishimad, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jaya. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jaya. Samavita Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jaya. Jainitai Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I'm going to try and shoot from the hip today. A bit unprepared. Okay, text 34. Savai is on the board. Savai bhavanatma vinirmitam jagat. Savai bhavanatma vinirmitam jagat. Bhutendriyanta karanatmakam vibho. Bhutendriyanta karanatmakam vibho. Samstapayishyan ajamam rasatalad. Samstapayishyan ajamam rasatalad. Abhyujaharam basa adi sukaraha. Abhyujaharam basa adi sukaraha. Savai bhavanatma vinirmitam jagat. Bhutendriyanta karanatmakam vibho. Samstapayishyan ajamam rasatalad. Abhyujaharam basa adi sukaraha. Savai bhavanatma vinirmitam jagat. Bhutendriyanta karanatmakam vibho. Samstapayishyan ajamam rasatalad. Abhyujaharam basa adi sukaraha. Saha, he, vai, certainly, bhavan, yourself, atma, by yourself, vinirmitam, manufactured, jagat, this world, bhuta, the physical elements, indriya, senses, antakarana, mind, heart, atmakam, consisting of, vibho, O Lord, samstapayishyan, maintaining, aja, O unborn, mam, me, rasatalat, from the plutonic region, abhyujahara, took out, ambasaha, from the water, adi, original, sukharaha, the bore. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. My dear Lord, you are always unborn. Once in the form of the original boar, you rescued me from the waters in the bottom of the universe. Through your own energy, you created all the physical elements, the senses and the heart, for the maintenance of the world. Purport. This refers to the time when Lord Krishna appeared as the supreme boar, Varaha, and rescued the earth, which had been merged in water. The Asura, Hiranyaksha, had dislocated the earth from its orbit and thrown it beneath the waters of the Garbhodaka ocean. Then the Lord, in the shape of the original boar, rescued the earth. Text 35. Apamupaste maina vyavastitaha praja bhavan adya virakshishu kila savira murti samabhudharadharo yomam payasi ugrasharo jigamsasi. Translation. My dear Lord, in this way you once protected me by rescuing me from the water, and consequently your name has been famous as Dharadhara. So sometimes, especially when Jayadvaita Maharaj was here, everyone's familiar that he gave away he was selling his book, right, Kirtan Standards. So there it's mentioned that devotees, when they chant the Panchatattva mantra, they say Gadadhar. Right? Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi. So it's actually not Gadadhar, it's Gadadhara. Just like here he's famous as Dharadhara. So Dhara means one who holds. So Gadadhara means Lord Krishna, or Lord Vishnu, who holds the Gada, the mace. Right? And what is Lord Krishna's mace called? Kaumudaki. Right? So one who holds the Kaumudaki is called Gadadhara. The Lord is known as Dharadhara, meaning he who keeps. Sorry, was I reading? Okay, I was reading the translation. My dear Lord, in this way you once protected me by rescuing me from the water, and consequently your name has been famous as Dharadhara, he who holds the planet Earth. Yet at the present moment, in the form of a great hero, you are about to kill me with sharpened arrows. I am, however, just like the boat on the water, keeping everything afloat. Purport. The Lord is known as Dharadhara, meaning he who keeps the planet Earth on his tusks, as the boar incarnation. Thus the planet Earth in the shape of a cow is accounting the contradictory acts of the Lord. Although he once saved the earth, he now wants to upset the earth, which is like a boat on water. No one can understand the activities of the Lord. Due to a poor fund of knowledge, human beings sometimes think the Lord's activities contradictory. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priyam Vansha Kalpaturubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you for coming this morning. Just like when Lord Krishna was born on the day of Janmashtami, the next day Nanda Maharaj held a big celebration, Nandotsava, to commemorate the birth of his son, inviting all the Brahmanas, celebrating Krishna's appearance into this world. The Brajabasis had a very big feast, and one of the key things that they did in that festival, because they had real wealth. So nowadays wealth is, I was mentioning a couple of Bhagavatam classes before that, wealth used to be gold, the gold standard, and then it became paper, currency or coins, and now it's plastic notes. And now if you go out on book distribution and you ask someone for some donations, they now say that I'm not carrying cash, can I tap? So now you got to tap. So your wealth is now some digits on a screen. When you log on to your net bank account, you can see how wealthy you are. So the wealth of the Brajabasis was not like that. So their wealth was, as Prabhupada mentions in Vedic culture, the real wealth is the land and the cow. Right? So they were wealthy in terms of their agrarian society. They were wealthy in terms of the milk products that they had, ghee, butter. And in that particular festival, the Brajabasis were throwing ghee and yogurt and milk on each other to celebrate. So you know how yesterday devotees were throwing, right, colors, this and that. So the real holy festival, you could say, happened like that in Vrindavan. Similarly, Lord Chaitanya appeared yesterday. So today is actually called Jagannath Mishra's feast. Is that correct? So today is Jagannath Mishra's feast. So Jagannath Mishra, being Nanda Baba, also holds a big feast to commemorate the appearance day of Lord Chaitanya as well. So I believe today in Mayapur there's a big feast that devotees cook as well. So if you're able, you can also cook something in your houses to celebrate the appearance of Nimai. Okay, so I remember my Guru Maharaj was giving a class, Srimad Bhagavatam class here in Sydney. He told a story which is very vivid, and it stuck in my mind actually. And I think I've shared this story with some of you. But it shows the precariousness of this mature world. So he told a story of a family in China, and they had gone out, the husband, the wife, and the little child. The little child was only 2 or 3 years old. They had gone out for at a restaurant or something like that, enjoyed the evening. They were coming back to their house. As if you've ever flown into Hong Kong, you'll see that it's known as like a matchbox skyline, right? All the buildings are like matchboxes, or matchsticks, right? Tall, thin buildings like that. And they have these really big underground car parks. So the car was coming in, going into the car park, down several levels, and they were trying to park their car. And the wife was driving. She needed some assistance, so she asked the husband to get out. And the husband was trying to assist the wife back up into the car park. So he stood behind the car, and instead of pressing the brake, the wife accidentally pressed the accelerator, thinking that it was the brake, and the car went whoosh. It sped backwards and it crushed her husband, standing behind against the wall. She got freaked out, obviously, and she had her head outside the window, like trying to see what happened just then. And then obviously then she changed gears into drive, and then she pressed accelerator to come off. and there was a column next to her, and her head hit the column. So I'm just saying this, my Guru Maharaj said this. So both parents passed away, and all this is being witnessed by the 2 and 3-year-old child sitting at the back of the car. So this is the precariousness of this mature world. Now Mother Earth, Dhara, she was not wrong to withhold the necessities from the earth. She had just seen King Anga disappear, sort of renouncing his duties all of a sudden, and disappear into the forest, renouncing his kingdom. And then along comes his son Vena, who tells the Brahmanas to stop doing their sacrifices. Havoc breaks loose in the kingdom. Both the king is not protecting Vedic principles and the citizens, and at the same time thieves and rogues are also amassing in society as well. So because of that, Mother Earth decides to withhold her resources. Now, when Prithu Maharaj came, perhaps Mother Earth was a little suspecting, is Prithu Maharaj going to be the same as King Vena? When all the demigods were coming and glorifying Prithu Maharaj, when all the bards were singing the glories of Prithu Maharaj, what did Prithu Maharaj say? I haven't exhibited my qualities yet. I haven't shown my capacity yet. Don't come here and falsely glorify me before I even do anything. So, seeing that, we can't blame Mother Earth. But this is one of Krishna's pastimes where he exhibits his wonders. It's mentioned in the Brahma Samhita, Anand Chinmaya Rasatmataya Manasu Ya Praninam Pratifalam Smaratam Upetya Leelayatena Bhuvanani Jayati Ajasram Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Which means that the Supreme Personality of Godhead manifests himself on planet Earth specifically to exhibit pastimes which are wonderful and which capture the mind. Srila Prabhupada has given us a process of meditation which captures our mind. If we just sit down and we just close our eyes and we just focus on our ingoing and outgoing breath, yes, that is one form of meditation. It's called Vipassana. I remember before coming into Krishna consciousness, I was reading some Buddhist texts. I was in, I think, year 11 or year 12. And there was a specific book called the Annapana Sati Sutta. And I was reading this and learning more about Vipassana and all this sort of stuff. And I tried to do it. Like, one of the practices was just to sit with the back erect, close your eyes, or you have to gaze at your Ajna Chakra and just focus on the ingoing, outgoing breaths. It was nice for the first 20 minutes or so. After that, I would always just fall asleep. Always just doze off. You're not allowed to stand up. You're not allowed to walk around. You have to sit like that. But the more senses that we engage in a particular type of meditation, the more engaging that meditation becomes. Because what is the source of distraction for us in this world? The sense objects, right? And their interaction with the senses. So the more senses we can engage in a particular form of spiritual process, the more successful that we will be in becoming absorbed in it. So when we chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we're engaging our tongue, we're engaging our ears in listening to the sound vibration, we are engaging our sense of touch by touching Tulsi Marani. Just a side point, in bhakti there's often hacks, right? Hacks like quick ways that you can advance in Krishna consciousness. So obviously everyone knows that hack, that if you chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra on Tulsi beads, you get 1,000 times the result if you chant on Tulsi beads. Padma Puran says that if you put a little bit of the dust from Tulsi Marani on your head, you get 100 times the benefit. And I was doing Ekadashi, we were all doing Ekadashi a few days back. I also read in the Ekadashi Mahatmya that if you are not able to fast on Ekadashi, if you just read the names of all 26 Ekadashis that occur in a year, you'll get the same benefit as fasting for all of them, just by reading the names of these Ekadashis. So Krishna has made the process easy for us, right? So we're touching the tulsi beads, we're hearing with our ears, we're engaging our tongue, and Srila Prabhupada mentions that the tongue is the most voracious sense. You can engage your eyes as well. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions that if while chanting the Hare Krishna mantra you're getting distracted, then you are permitted to chant in front of the deities, gazing at them. And if you chant while looking at your favorite form of Krishna, of course our favorite form of Krishna is Radha Gopinath, then you get unlimited times the benefit, Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions. Now, when we're chanting japa in the morning, the curtains are closed, so if you like, you can get your favorite picture of Krishna or your favorite picture of the deities. It's more powerful to meditate on a picture of deities than it is to meditate on a picture of Krishna. Although Krishna can appear in various different ways, including paint, which is like pictures, meditating on deities is more potent because the deities are actually being worshipped in various temples around the world. So you can meditate by using your eyesight, engaging your eyesight as well. And your sense of smell is there as well. So you can light an incense, offer it to Krishna, and that way you can engage your sense of smell as well. You can engage your legs as well. Srila Prabhupada taught us. So sometimes we think that when we're chanting, we just sit down in one place. No, but Srila Prabhupada went on japa walks, and he engaged his walking as well, just like Ambarish Maharaj, right? So, Padao Harer Kshetra Padabhi Vandane Shiro Rishikesha Padanu Sarpane. So it mentions in the 9th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, that Ambarish Maharaj engaged his legs in walking to the temple. So when all the devotees living outside come to the temple or come in their cars as well, you're engaging your legs and pressing the accelerator and the brake. That's still engaging your senses in coming towards Krishna, right? So we can engage our legs by walking around Tulsi Marni as well. So there's many different ways in which we can engage our senses, but focus on that prime activity of hearing and chanting. So that is why this situation is happening, and Mother Earth is so confused. Once upon a time, you came in this great incarnation as a boar, Varaha, and you lifted me up from the bottom of the ocean. You saved me that time. You're glorified since that time as Dharadhara. And now you want to kill me. You want to destroy me. So this is the wonderful pastimes of Krishna. It intrigues us. What's going to happen next? So one of the things we see here, Mother Earth. Of course, Prithu Maharaj is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's the absolute authority. He is Swarat. Mother Earth also holds a position as well, an important position. She's the goddess of the planet Earth. She's a controller in one sense, but here we see that she's submitting to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is one lesson that we can learn as devotees. There's a senior devotee in our movement. He once said that sometimes it is more easy to control lust than it is to deal with devotees. Right? Because when you're dealing with karmis, when you're dealing with materialists, then the expectations are clear. We know that they don't follow devotional principles. We know that, if we serve them or whatever, we expect reciprocation to not be of a high standard. But when you're dealing with devotees, we have expectations. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions that real humility means when you have no expectations. We often get upset and disturbed because we have high expectations on another person, especially as devotees. We expect devotees to have high standards. When those standards are not met, we get upset, we get disturbed. So one of the ways that we can cope is fluidity. Devotees, as all of us together, we need to become more fluid in our consciousness. And what that means is that you take the example of water, right? This is a famous example. Bruce Lee once, the famous martial artist, he stated the example of water as well. Be like water. He said be formless, but water has form. Right? So if you take water and you put it in a teapot, or you put it in a jug, or you put it in a vessel of different shapes, the water is going to assume the shape of that jug. Similarly, because I mentioned the nature of the mature world is very precarious, anything can happen at any time. Someone like Maharaj Anga can disappear. A good king like Maharaj Anga can disappear overnight, and a cruel king like Vena can sprout up in society. Anything can happen. Right? So what it means is that even in devotional life, we're practicing a spiritual process, but we're doing it in the mature world. So we can expect hiccups, we can expect obstacles, we can expect change. And when these things come in our devotional service, it throws us off many times. So the lesson that we can learn from water is that whatever situation comes before us, we should be fluid enough to adapt to that situation. To the degree we develop that adaptivity, to that degree we'll be able to practice Krishna consciousness peacefully. And that adaptivity comes by completely depending on Krishna. If we think that we are in control of a situation, then expectation will be there again. We'll expect a certain result. But by, just like I think the example is given of Jayapataka Maharaj. So Srila Prabhupada instructed some of his leading sannyasis at that time, like Jayapataka Maharaj and I think Bhavananda Maharaj as well, to build up Mayapur. It was just a flat land infested with snakes, right? When they were building the temple, they were being cheated by so many of the quarry workers and the people like they were trying to get some steel or something like that, right? And the lorry carrying the steel stopped in one place, and the devotees, the Maharajas, they came off and they were being distracted by one of the workers in a conversation, and at the same time they were unloading the steel because they don't want to give the devotees all that steel. So there were so many hardships, so many challenges. But then Srila Prabhupada told Jayapataka Maharaj that you have to surrender to the service. And Maharaj explains that when he surrendered to that instruction, Prabhupada just surrendered to the situation, things became easy and he became successful. That is very much evident when we're distributing books, especially. When you're distributing books, you're in a completely helpless situation. There are services where you can still hold your control. I'm not going to mention services like that, but many times we, to be in our comfort zone, will choose to do services in which the result is guaranteed. And when we willingly choose to do services in which we are confident of the result, there will be advancement, but it will be much slower. Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj says that real advancement can be felt, real empowerment can be felt when you're put in a position in which you have absolutely no ability and you completely depend on Krishna. Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj mentions that that is when the moment of empowerment comes. I asked my Guru Maharaj once, how can I feel the reciprocation of Krishna? And he said, you can witness the reciprocation of Krishna when you give your 100%. Until you are not giving 100%, you're not going to feel the reciprocation of Krishna. Because when you give your 100%, you know that there's nothing more that you can do beyond this. Whatever comes after this is completely Krishna's mercy, Krishna's reciprocation. So if we want to feel the reciprocation of Krishna, give your 100%. And Radheshyam Prabhu mentions, put yourself sometimes, all the times if possible, but sometimes at least, in your stretch zone. You know your stretch zone? Stretch zone is the zone where you feel a little bit uncomfortable. Like right now, I haven't prepared for class. I thought Maharaj would come down, we'll listen to Maharaj. So stretch zone means it's good, it's healthy for your spiritual life to choose to do services where you know that you have no skill, no ability. So when you're in your stretch zone, that increases your fluidity, flexibility, tolerance, all these good qualities. Yasyatma bhaktir bhagati akinchana sarver guner tatra samasate sura. All these good qualities will manifest on you. Why? Because that one quality, Krishna eka sharanam. You know, Mahaprabhu mentions the 26 qualities of a devotee in Chaitanya Charitamrita. A devotee is mild, meek, humble, generous, this, that. But then he says, but the main quality is Krishna eka sharana, complete dependence on Krishna. So unless that is there, real empowerment does not come. So that needs to be there. Lord Brahma, why was he so successful? Prabhupada mentions that because Lord Brahma fully surrendered unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whatever he spoke, number one, whatever he spoke always came true. He had the power of Satya Sankalpa. Second thing, his mind never degraded. And the third thing, his senses were never attracted to external sense objects. If we become devotees of Krishna, then these three characteristics that Brahma achieved as a result of full surrender to Krishna at the beginning of creation, because Brahma was also in that position. He had no one there around him to help him. We have so many devotees to assist us in our services, but Lord Brahma was there by himself, the single living entity in the universe. And he depended completely on Krishna's instructions. Okay, I'll carry it out. And everything became successful. So Krishna blessed him with these three things. Whatever you say, Lord Brahma, I will make sure that I will fulfill whatever that you're saying. Secondly, your mind will never be degraded. And thirdly, your senses will never be attracted to sense objects. And we can see a hint of that power in Srila Prabhupada as well. Of course, not just hint, Prabhupada was full of these potencies. When the Juhu temple was being built, even before it was built, what did Prabhupada say? Right? It was just like a ditch, that land. The Juhu land was just like a ditch. And whenever it would rain, it would just become muddy. It was infested with mosquitoes. Devotees would get dysentery, malaria. Still, Srila Prabhupada had a vision. Srila Prabhupada had a vision that one day there will be a very beautiful temple built here. And even though the land was in such a situation, Srila Prabhupada brought the deities of Radha Ras Bihari, and he installed them in a little tin shed on that land. And he said, don't worry, you stay here, I will build you a temple. So that intense desire that Srila Prabhupada had for many years, wherever he traveled around the whole world. I was reading in the Lamrit. Prabhupada was in Europe, in France. Prabhupada went to America, and he was in a tight schedule as well, going from one city to the next. He went to like 10 different American cities in 2.5 weeks. And he was dealing with the local management there, but at the same time, in the back of his mind, he was thinking, what's happened to my temple in Juhu? Is it being built? Is that Mr. N coming in the way? And then that meditation eventually fructified. And we see also, right, that, one day that particular gentleman that was being an obstruction to building the temple, all of a sudden he had a heart attack and he passed away. And Srila Prabhupada, at that time, he smiled. Of course, the example that we can understand there is something that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, and he said that even saintly persons feel relief when a snake dies. Right? So whoever obstructs us in our devotional service, when that obstacle is taken away, not by us depending on Krishna, and if Krishna wants that obstruction to go away, then devotees even celebrate like that. So that is one important lesson, complete dependence on Krishna. And that is what Mother Earth is showing here. The example I was giving before of water, right? So water molds itself into whatever situation it is placed in. The other important lesson that you can take away from water is that when you show aggression towards water, the water is not affected. Just like if you're traveling on a boat, a little boat, and you're angry, and you want to let out your anger, and then you decide to punch the water. Right? You throw your fist, punch your fist into the water. What happens to the water? It just moves aside. The water is not hurt, it just moves aside. And in fact, you might hurt your own fist by punching the water. So that is another quality of water as well, of fluidity. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's explained that we need to show tolerance like a tree. Taror iva sahishnuna. So what is that? Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains 2 ways that a tree is tolerant. The first way is that if the tree is suffering in any way, the tree doesn't reach out to anyone for help. Of course, what that means essentially is that we should not make hue and cry. We should, give the example of Prahlad Maharaj. He was in a situation where he was being abused by his father. Still he tolerated, because he could tolerate. So what I'm trying to say is, if you can tolerate an adverse situation, then a devotee tolerates. That's the lesson. But if you can't tolerate, it is important for you to raise it to someone. Because toleration in which you're not qualified for will actually pull your consciousness down. So if you're able to tolerate, tolerate. That's one lesson. The second thing is that even though someone comes and harms a tree, cuts it down, takes off its leaves, branches, inscribes something on the trunk of a tree or whatever, the tree, although it's harmed, doesn't take any offense. In fact, the tree still keeps giving fruits. The tree keeps giving shade. The tree keeps giving itself. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said about his Guru Maharaj, Gaur-Kishora Das Babaji Maharaj, he said in one Vyas Puja offering that the mission of Lord Chaitanya can only be spread throughout the world if the preachers show these qualities which are mentioned in the Shikshashtakam. Trinadapi sunichana, tarori vasaishana, amanina manina kirtanya sadhari. Because he was glorifying his spiritual master, Gaur-Kishora Das Babaji Maharaj, that he is a Babaji, he's chanting Krishna's names, he has all of these qualities. Just by him staying in Navadvip, by his potency alone, he can deliver everyone in this material world. And he's exhibiting that through a disciple like me. And then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is exhibiting these qualities through having a disciple like Srila Prabhupada. But if we get in the way with our ego, then it stops there. The mercy stops there. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that we should string this verse around our neck like a garland. That verse is practically, you could say, as much important as the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Because you may have a key, right? We have the key, which is the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. It's given to us. But you need to know how to turn the key. And the way that you turn the key is through this procedure which is given. Which is, you have to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, being more humble than a blade of grass, being tolerant, giving respect to others. If you don't chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra like that, then progress will be very slow. Bahu janma karayadi shravana kirtan tabutanapaya Krishna pade pramadana. It will take many, many lifetimes. So, I'll finish by saying this one thing, because here Mother Earth is talking about protection. We expect Krishna to protect us, and because we're in the bodily concept of life, we expect Krishna to protect our material body. If Krishna protects my material body, if I'm sick, and Krishna relieves me of the sickness, I believe in Krishna. I believe in Krishna's mercy. But Krishna is not so much interested in protecting our material body. What Krishna is really interested in protecting is our bhakti. So Krishna's protection in its essence is shown by his ability to protect our bhakti. What is that verse from Bhagavad Gita? where it says that even a little bit of advancement in Krishna consciousness can save one from the most dangerous type of fear. Neha abhikramanashasti pratyavayana vidyate swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayad. Krishna says to Arjuna that even a little bit of advancement in bhakti can save you from the most dangerous type of fear. And Prabhupada elaborates on that in the purport, and he says that that most dangerous type of fear is losing your human form of life. So that is Krishna's protection. And a devotee can be anywhere, Naraka, in the heavenly planets, or even on earth. If they still have their bhakti, they're satisfied. I'll divulge a little bit, because I read something interesting in Srimad Bhagavatam recently. Everyone knows the pastime of Vritrasura, fighting with Indra. So Vritrasura was a demon. He was a big, gigantic demon, and he was leading the army of the demons. And he was fighting with Indra and his army of demigods. And what happens is Vritrasura, he's throwing his club and he's roaring, and the demigods, they get very afraid. And the demons, they also flee from the battlefield as well, because that, that interaction, that standoff between Indra and Vritrasura is so fearsome that the armies of both of them, the demigods and the demons, they just flee. So the only two people left on the battlefield are Vritrasura and Indra. Now Srila Prabhupada says something very interesting here. During the fighting between Vritrasura and Indra we say is a demigod, right? He's a Asura. And Vritrasura is an Asura. But during that fight, Vritrasura is elaborating about transcendental knowledge. He's preaching to Indra about transcendental knowledge, because previously he was actually Chitraketu, who was a pure devotee of Krishna. And he's telling Indra, kill me quickly, because I have this curse. And if you relieve me of this curse by killing me, I'll go straight back to Godhead. But why does Indra want victory? Does Indra want victory because he wants to do bhakti? Does Indra want victory because he wants to go back to Godhead? No. He wants victory because he can start ruling his heavenly kingdom again. He can have his material opulence back again. So Srila Prabhupada raises a very important point. Externally, one is a demon. Externally, one is a demigod. But Srila Prabhupada is a bit heavy there, and he says that actually here, Indra is acting like the demon, and Vritrasura, even though he's the demon, is actually acting saintly, like a sadhu. Right? So this is Krishna's protection. That he will put us in adverse situations, even in the body of a demon, like Vritrasura was. Still, Krishna protected the bhakti within Vritrasura's heart, and he took him back. So I'll tell a story and I'll finish the class. My mother told me this story many years back. This happened to a friend of hers. And she was saying, I've told it before some time back. Basically, what happened is it was night, and one lady had gone to a party nearby, somewhere. And then the party finished, and then she was a devotee. Like, I don't think she was an ISKCON devotee or whatever, but she was devout. She was practicing bhakti yoga, and she was chanting the holy name like that. And the party finished, and it was nighttime, and she was walking back home. And for her to walk back home, she had to pass through a narrow alleyway. And that particular area of the neighborhood was not so great. So as she's walking through that alleyway by herself, she's chanting, and she sees a man coming her way, like, wearing a hoodie or whatever. And then she's afraid. And then she intensifies her chanting, she intensifies her dependence on Krishna, and nothing happens. That man just walks past her. And then the next day, she checks the news, and on the news, apparently, another woman who was walking down that same alleyway was actually attacked by someone, and it was actually that same person that she passed previously. And I don't know what happened to the other one, but they interviewed that criminal. And he said, so what happened that night? how many people did you cross paths with in that alleyway? And he said, only 2 people were there. And both of them were women. I attacked the second one. And they asked him, so why didn't you attack the first one? And the criminal says that the first one, as I was walking past her, actually, when I looked, first I saw that she was just alone, but when I looked a second time, she was surrounded by 4 men around her. And then it was like a hallucination or something like that. So he saw 4 men standing around that woman, and he thought, okay, no, let's keep walking like that. So story shows Krishna's protection. It's a true story. At least my mother said it's a true story. But it shows Krishna's protection. It can come in any way. So if we just depend on Krishna, Krishna means Kali Kale Nam Rupa, Krishna Avatar, Krishna's holy name. Chant, dance in front of Radha Gopinath. Krishna's protection can come in ways that we cannot understand, we cannot comprehend. Just one more story if I can tell quickly. There's a soldier who was behind enemy lines. He was the only soldier there from his team, and he was being hunted down by the enemy soldiers, right? And then they're closing in on him, and he thinks, what to do now? I'm going to die. They're going to come. They're coming with their guns, their rifles. They're going to kill me. So he's running, trying to find some place to hide. Finally, he sees a cave. He runs into the cave, right? And the cave is open. It's still open. Like anyone can just come into the cave and see him hiding there. And he's just taking shelter of that cave, hoping that no one will come in. Because if they come, they're going to shoot him dead. Then what happened? He's intensely chanting the holy name. And just at that moment, a spider comes, a small little spider comes. And he builds a web in front of that web. And with the web, he blocks the entrance to the cave. And then the enemy soldiers come, and they're looking in different caves, going into the caves and checking if that person is hiding there, that soldier is hiding there. And they come close to that cave that he's actually hiding. And the soldier comes up and he says, he can't be in that cave because look, the spider web is there. Because if he had gone in, the web had been broken. So they just walk past, and his life is spared. So there's many stories like that. But yeah, so we can learn that we take shelter and never to outshine senior Vaishnavas. The example is being set by Dhara, Mother Earth as well. That even, and it's mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita as well, that one of the qualities of a devotee, if they really want to advance in Krishna consciousness, 2 things are given. They really want to advance in chanting the holy name, 2 things are given. First thing is that they should be ready to accept whatever material facilities come to them. They should be ready to accept that. Okay, Krishna is giving me this. Okay, if Krishna is just giving me a couple of fruits today to eat, okay, I'll take it. Okay, Krishna is giving me a feast today to eat, okay, I'll take it. Whatever comes to them in terms of material necessities, they shouldn't hanker for more. That's one thing. The second thing which is given is that even in adverse situations, even if someone is chastising you, calling you names, whatever, a devotee just keeps quiet. The devotee doesn't retaliate back. Because for a devotee, their main asset is what? Their body? No. Their mind? No. Their consciousness. So at all costs, we should protect our consciousness, our Krishna consciousness. Okay, so I'll stop here. We're over time, so I won't take any questions. Thank you very much. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.